You like my title? You like my title there?
GMO Baby.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alrighty, guys. Fat Fit Freedom starting in 3, 2. What's going on, everyone? Happy Friday, or whatever day you're listening to this, actually. Welcome to the Fat Fit Freedom Podcast, episode 13 coming at you. Maybe it's 14. Did I mess that up? Is it 13 or 14? 13. The next episode of the Fat Fit Freedom
strong,
Podcast
man.
coming, and got a very special guest to join Brandon and I today. The original GMO Baby, the phrase that I coined that for. Have the gentleman on here. Matt, introduce yourself. Thanks for coming on.
I'm Matt, run track at Brandeis currently. In high school, I was a 4-season captain for track. I was a state champion in the decathlon my junior year.
Beast.
Damn.
I qualified for all states in sprints a bunch of times as well. Sub 11 guy in the 100, sub 22 guy in the 200. Those are my accolades.
Damn.
All those numbers up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was like, introduce yourself. He's like, whips it out. This is exactly who I am.
Mhm.
And kid's only 19 years old, everybody.
Very
And
impressive.
so the reason I called him GMO Baby is because 19-year-olds aren't supposed to be built like this young man right here.
Mm.
What's your measurements?
6'1", 200.
6'1", 200. But I swear I saw old pictures of you when you were in like high school,
Oh yeah.
and I swear to God you looked like this pole over here.
like stick, yeah.
Like, what happened? Like, what? We're gonna talk about this later, but I want to know what PEDs you're taking.
Not taking any PEDs.
That's such. Oh, this guy is such a liar.
Come on.
It's cool. We've already discussed this on past podcasts. We're not above taking them.
No.
We're
By no
not
means.
above-
Yeah. No, we don't hate. We don't hate. We appreciate. The thing that people get confused about is they think if they take supplements, if they take performance enhancers, that the results will automatically just come. It's so much harder than that, and there's so much more to it. You do have to put in a lot of work, not only while you're on it, but when you get off it as well. And that's where people are at the most risk, is when they stop using performance enhancing. Not to say that Matt is on performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah, of
but
course.
it is
Just
something
speaking
that-
in generalities.
Right, exactly. I don't want to confuse the situation. That's right.
It's hilarious. No, just kidding. Matt is all natural,
Yeah.
and the kid's just a beast. Honestly, if there's any quote unquote young person I would direct people to in terms of like, hey, like if you're taking care of your body, this is who you should model after. You're totally one of those people.
Thank you.
Because when we've talked to this guy, just in random conversations, just as friends, really good head on your shoulders.
Thank you.
And I think, honestly, it's the way things are nowadays, and people can act sometimes. Like, I find it fascinating that you don't go out and like party like crazy, or you're not like some shithead, like little, like entitled kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have worked for all your accolades. Like, you train so hard.
Respect.
You inspire
Thank
us
you.
to
Thank
train. So that's awesome to see, and been excited to have you come on, invite you on, because I'd love for you to give perspective across, like, obviously some of the topics we're going to be going into. And to start us off, I know one of the things that always gets people kind of motivated into the gym or into workout is like, people they get this idea in their head and they want to become super fit, or they want to just go balls to the wall, like no regrets, like just do everything they can, and they start going ham with their exercise. However, what many don't really think about is the difference between training hard and training smart for their own bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're someone, just because you're young, people may think like, oh, you're young, so you can do whatever the hell you want.
No, it doesn't work.
So do you mind giving a little insight into, one, how do you actually train your body?
Okay, so nutrition is a huge part of it. You have to be putting the right foods into your body. Otherwise, you aren't going to be repairing your muscles the proper way. That's probably the largest part to me, because I see all these people on all these really bad diets, or just they have poor nutrition in general, and they're always the ones who tend to be a little lazier, lag behind, and then for whatever reason, I see those people getting injured. But it's not only about that. It's not only about nutrition. There are multiple parts that go into it. It's about stretching before and stretching the proper way before you exercise. You can't go into an exercise already like working hard. Like you have to warm up the proper way. You can't go in already tired. So you have to warm up properly. You have to warm up the smart way, and you have to prepare yourself mentally even if you aren't going to be doing your max set or a max weight that day or running your hardest that day, you're still going to have a hard workout no matter what. It's just about going in it the smart way. And then after the workout, it's about cooling down properly, letting your muscles recover, not letting lactic build up, because when you have lactic acid build up, everything's much sore in your body, whether it's your quads, your hamstrings, your chest, whatever it is. And then you tend to compensate with something else, and that's when I've seen a lot of injuries.
Gotcha. Now, how would you say you stretch? Like, walk us through something that you do.
So it's all, I mean, pre-exercise, most of it is dynamic. So what that means is it's just an active mobility. So lunges, squats. Before I run a race, let's say, I never just go into the race cold. I always do a couple accelerations beforehand. It's all dependent on how I feel that day. So if it's a colder day, I'll usually do 4 or 5. If it's a warmer day, I'll do 2 to 3. And then we have a warm up that we go through. It's takes about a half an hour to get through, but it involves just dynamic stretching where it's like lunges and movement based stuff. And then there is that part of like the normal stretches that most people know, where it's like, okay, like the zombie walk, where you stretch it. It's typical hamstring stretch, or like butterfly
walk. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, multiple names.
Yeah, exactly. Or like a butterfly, just stuff like that. It's stretching different ways to get ready.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Now, for yourself, actually, I should have said this in the beginning, just to give you an idea on how fit and how quick and fast Matt is here. What's your 40 time in the 40-yard dash?
4:39.
4:39. So who is that faster than? We were talking about this earlier. Who is that faster than in the NFL?
Odell Beckham.
So Matthew here is faster than Odell Beckham Jr.
That's fine.
Just want to throw that out there.
That's fine.
We were laughing about that earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And so, again, from what you were saying, you're 19. You're stretching for like 20, 30 minutes. You're warming up.
Yeah, I warm up for 30 minutes before every workout.
That's insane. I've seen so many people. Nobody actually warms up.
I
rarely see people actually go through a legitimate warm up.
Is that a routine you put together yourself, or is that something that you've kind of collaborated on with somebody else, or where does it come from?
So I've learned a lot of it through different people. So some of it is what I found the most effective for me, and then some of it's also what my coaches give to me to do. So most of it is what my coaches give me to do, but I also fit the things that I really like and find useful in throughout it or at the end of it, just depending on when I think it's necessary.
It is so impressive for a 19-year-old to take 30 minutes to stretch.
Yeah. Can't get 39-year-olds to do it.
And the 39-year-old, and then in the opposite direction, the 14, 15, 16, even 17-year-old, it's really hard to get them to stretch for even 10 minutes, let alone 30 minutes.
Yeah.
That takes extreme discipline and patience, which it's obvious that you have because of the success you've had on the track, man. Really impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've dealt with injury in the past, so you learn from injury. You don't want to re-injure yourself because that sidelines you for a while. I've torn my hip. I've pulled my hamstring several times.
You've torn your hip? Ugh.
Yeah, my hip flexor.
I just kind of get chills hearing that. Every time I hear an injury, I'm like, oh god.
I was on crutches for like 7 weeks. But yeah, you learn from your past and you learn to not make the same mistakes again. So that's why I stretch for 30 minutes before and then I stretch after as well.
Now, for someone like yourself, obviously you're training. What do you run again, just for clarity?
100 and 200 and then 4x1 as well.
100 and 200, 4x1. So those are your main focuses.
And shot put.
And you shot put.
Yeah.
Okay, 100, 200, 4x1.
Shot put.
Shot put.
That's a new thing though.
But so those are your main 4 things though
Mhm.
that you're usually training for.
Mhm.
And I think this is good because, or just to highlight, because I've seen many, exercise, doesn't matter what it is, they are trying to do too many things at once. Can you give a little insight into your training? Because obviously you're working with coaches, you have your own personal experience and learning from other people, and at 19, you've gotten these great results already, and you're on the upward curve of where your trajectory is going for your track career, potential NFL, who knows, right? There's a lot of things that you're looking to do, and now, or potentially to do as well. In terms of progressive overload, I've talked a little bit about this before, touched on it, focusing on obviously similar training programs, training patterns, not switching everything up. Can you explain to everyone why it's really important, especially for your training, but in training in general, to be training consistently to be able to measure progress?
Yeah, I mean, if you're training consistently, then there's nothing setting you back from the outside. Like if you aren't training consistently, I should put it this way, you are setting yourself back, and you can't take a year off and expect to have the same results. Your muscles need they need to know what's going on. They need to understand that, okay, I can't bench press 225 right now, but if I put in the work continuously, then I'll be able to, because it's a progressive thing. It's not a wake up and do it type of thing. There are very few people in the world who can just go outside and run in the Olympics. Like, Usain Bolt is one of those guys, but he is also you can't compare yourself to Usain.
You can't.
But that's a guy that didn't always win right
Yeah.
away.
Right.
He definitely had to work for it. He took his lumps and turned into what we see today. But you're right. It was a progression for him, as it is for everybody else.
Yeah, everything's a progression.
And so let's take like 100 meters, for example.
Mm-hmm.
When you're training for that, it's not like you only train running 100 meters every single time. How do you actually train for that? And I want to relate this to something after you explain.
Okay, so sometimes you train a little shorter, so a little more explosive, so you work on a different phase of the race. The starting phase, just because the more explosive you are out of the blocks, the faster you're going to be at the end. So you need to break it down into like 10 by 20 meters that day out of the blocks or something like that. And then there are days where you train the longer parts of the race, so like you'll do like 5 by 200 with a certain amount of rest, so that way you can experience like a lactic buildup mid-set and see how you respond to it and learn to push yourself through it.
Sure.
And then there are also other parts of the season where you're taking a little bit easier. So like right now I'm not in season, so most of my workouts that my coaches give me or that we collaborate on are 70% workouts. It's not max effort, it's nowhere close to max effort, it's just maintenance work.
Gotcha. And so that's really important. I want everyone to understand hearing that, because athletically, when you're training for a sport, it's not like, in this case, training for 100 meters, many would think, oh, he's probably just out there sprinting all the time as fast as you can. That's how you get faster. No. You got to break it down. You can break down mechanically. You can break down for your technique, conditioning-wise. There's many other variables that you can break down in your own training. To relate this to others who are listening for, let's say, basic general fat loss or strength gains. Let's say you want to, from what you were saying before, let's say someone wants to get a stronger chest press. They want to get stronger in their upper body. Mm-hmm. Benching is one of the standard ways, right? You can measure strength in that context. But to get stronger at your bench, it's not like you would just only bench. You can overhead press, you can use dumbbells, you can use cables, you can use resistance bands, you can do weighted push-ups. There's many other ways that you can train your body to get better at one thing you want to get better at. But that one thing you want to get better at, you don't just have to focus on it in terms of improving that. There's so many other things that you can do centered around there, still focusing on that goal, but giving you a little bit more variety to you can take your strength maybe from one level to the next, where you don't just have to be stuck in this one line of thinking, this narrow-minded way of thinking in terms of your training, because that's where people plateau. Where most people, when they plateau, it doesn't matter what they plateau in, they've been doing one specific thing or they've been training one specific way for an extended period of time. But then that's it, that's all they're doing. There isn't any other modality that they're working, there isn't any other focus, even weakness that they're strengthening. You can only strengthen your strength so much, but with the human body, there's so many things that we could work on every single time, day in and day out, in the gym to get better. Or even not even just with benching, right? It could even be you want stronger legs, okay? Or you want, maybe let's say you want to be more explosive in your legs. There's so many ways you can build power in your legs. So like there's so much, not even just squatting. We can get into lunging. We can get into split squatting. Deadlifting's like the standard. Like don't even say that. Like there's so many things you can do in terms of your training to improve whatever you're trying to improve on. But it's not necessarily the one thing that your goal is, because I feel like people get fixated on one specific thing and it's all they can think about, and it keeps them from being aware or even noticing and be able to learn all these other great avenues to be able to train their body.
Yep.
And now, moving forward, I like what you had said before about the injuries that you had, because many probably think that A, you're young, you don't get fucking hurt.
No, that's very close.
Or B, you're young, you can get hurt because you're just gonna recover. Like it's never gonna matter for your injuries. First, can you? I can't stand hearing that personally so much. It is such a pet peeve of mine when people look at me and obviously in this case you're normally a little bit older than I, but they're like, oh, like you're young, like you can recover. They're like, oh, I remember when I was young, and now they're acting like they're old and they're decrepit and their body's breaking down. It's like, no, I still feel pain. Let's get this straight. Like it's not that we don't get hurt. Walking frickin' injury report here. Can you explain to everyone, one, go through like common injuries you have, but then two, how long did it take you to recover from, let's say, your hip?
Okay, so I've gone, to answer the first question, the first part of that, I've had numerous hamstring injuries. That's probably the most lagging one. Then hips, I've had a shoulder injury. Those are the big ones. I had a high ankle sprain once that sent me back for a little bit. That's really it for like injury wise.
Were these injuries training? Were they like active injuries, or were they in a meet, or did it happen working out?
It's a combination of all those. It's happened in everything. So the hip was in a meet, the initial hamstring was in a meet. I've had hamstring flares in practice or in the weight room, and then my shoulders predominantly just because of progressive overload on it. It takes its wear over time with like anything, but you learn how to treat it. You learn how to do other things to get around it.
Yeah, sure. Right. So with your hamstring, how long have you been dealing with that? Ongoing?
My hamstring, since I was a sophomore in high school.
Since you're a sophomore in high school? Yeah. Unrelated to the hip or related to the hip?
So it's hard to say. My guess is it's probably related to the hip as a compensation thing. Just because my left hamstring's injured, that's the back of my left leg. I injured the front side of my right leg, if so to say, because it goes down to my quad a little bit.
Sure.
So it's just the opposite. It's the counter muscle. So my guess is it's compensation with that.
So at 19, talking about overcompensation within your muscles that's produced an injury that you have particularly dealt with since your sophomore year in high school. How long ago was that?
5 years ago now.
Cool. So I just wanted to repeat that again, just to highlight to everyone that it does not matter your age if we're talking dealing with physical ailments or the body. I can't fucking stand when people use their age as an excuse for that type of stuff, because I feel like it happens. It totally happens all the time, where people will blame their age on the way that they're feeling, and it's not that their age is contributing to the way that they're feeling. No. You aren't handling screwing up your body yourself, actually, which is why you're making it feel like this. I mean, Brandon, you've probably seen like athletes even do that too to themselves over the years.
Yeah, the older athletes get knickknacks, things that nag them a little bit more, and instead of taking the proper precautions or making the adjustment, it ends up turning into something bigger than what it should have been. And instead of addressing it for what it is, their age ends up being the reason. And we hear it with pundits all the time.
Yeah.
Guys' age, and there is a point where your age becomes your performance will decline because of your age, but not necessarily because of anything that you haven't done in the gym, or it's just because, look, younger people typically are going to be faster than older people. Not in all cases, but in most of them.
Sure.
So taking those things aside, if you do take care of yourself, you are less likely to be injured. There's no guarantees, but take the proper precaution, and then don't use excuses. Fix it.
Yeah.
Excuses are my least favorite thing in the world.
I love that you say that. Oh my God. Yeah, there's I think people really just don't understand that you get one body. Treat it like a Ferrari. So, what was that?
Treat it like a Ferrari.
Yeah, or even car and luxury type of even comparisons aside, if you're not treating your body properly, I'll say, and you get one, I really feel like people just don't appreciate what they have. Ever. But I say that, I mean ever. Because how often, I mean, maybe not in your case, at least, I mean, we've probably seen a lot more in this case. Two, one, because we're older. And then, but then two, just from observing and seeing people over the years, people will, let's say when they're younger, they'll party all the time, they'll take their body for granted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And maybe they'll work out a little bit. Maybe they'll train some. And they can rely on genetics at some point with having quote unquote a fast metabolism enough to watch what they want, what they do. Their body's always going to be skinny. But it's that ignorance that all of a sudden, as time goes by, because time goes by really fast, as you get older, if you're not taking care of yourself, all of a sudden you will actually wake up one day and feel like complete shit. But it's not that it's your age, it's your actions have led you to that point where you've actually never known what it feels like to have a healthy, fit, functioning body. And then people get old and then they start blaming it on their age and reminiscing on times when they were younger, when they could do whatever they wanted.
And it's never too late.
Exactly, too. Also, yeah, great point.
Never too late. People, you've seen it on all levels, whether it's being overweight or being older, whatever the case is. People get to these extreme circumstances and then they're able to make some sort of adjustment to get back to neutral, or to get to even a higher level, than what they expected or when they started. As frustrating as it can be, it's still never too late to make that adjustment, to incorporate some type of action or activity into your life. And off our last episode from last week, talking about everyone's an athlete. There's older athletes, there's younger athletes. Your body wants that action. Give it a little bit of assist, and give it a little action.
Yeah, no, so true. Have you met 30-year-olds that are faster than you?
Yeah. Yeah. I have met 30-year-olds who are faster.
Have you raced them?
I haven't raced them, no.
But you've seen them?
I've seen them at track meets
and what'd you think? What'd you think when you saw that?
First off, is that guy looks much bigger in person. Yeah. Secondly, there's just something about them. You can tell, the way they're crafted, their bodies.
Yes.
Their body was made is just so much different than the normal person. It's you look at their calves and you're like, those aren't calves. It's like a stick with a massive thing on it. It looks like a tumor.
Yeah.
And then,
great point.
Yeah, and it just doesn't make any sense to me because I put in all this hard work as well, but they were just given I'm not saying I was given a bad body. I'm very thankful for what I was given, but these guys are the next level, and it's crazy to see them.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's important to highlight after that too, and let's say they're in their 30s. Well, how long have they been working at that as well?
Oh,
how many years have they been training for that body and for what they're doing?
At least 15 years, if
Yeah.
not more.
Yeah, probably more.
It's no wonder why we can look at people like that and think like, oh my God, like they're incredible, they're amazing. I don't understand how their body's like this. But then at the same time, you can always trace everything back to it. Where someone like yourself, it's like, kid, you're 19. Add 10 more years if you continue training how you're training. How are you going to look? We're gonna be old. We're gonna be in nursing homes by in another 10 years, basically. Like by comparison with how your body's gonna be. Like it's gonna be awful. You know what? Actually, stop training. I don't want that to happen. Fuck you, man.
I'll never stop training.
I'm just kidding.
Catch up.
Oh my God! But guys, like you just really get one body. Like I think it's ridiculous that people don't appreciate their bodies enough to see what it can do or what it can become, or just to feel what it feels like to have freedom. Yeah, exactly. Like nothing wrong. You're able to move and do things that you want to do anytime your body wants it.
Yeah.
Like it can happen.
It's fun.
Yeah. Even if people get injuries, right? You can recover from injuries. Or you can, like yourself, you can work through injuries.
Right.
We're always working through injuries.
Yeah. Right.
Something's always happening. But
That's just a minor setback.
exactly. That doesn't mean to stop.
Challenge.
That's actually the worst thing you can do when you're injured, is to just completely stop what you're doing. Now, I wanted to segue into this because we had touched on it a little bit earlier, and I think it's really important for people to understand that Matt is the biggest steroid user that I actually know.
Biggest, yeah.
That we actually know.
Trendy, well, 400.
Well, I'm glad he just admitted it. We got that on
Thank
wax.
you.
Okay.
We got that. We can actually stop the podcast now. We
Okay.
had you admitting you use steroids. No, but there's.
No.
I'm always giving this guy a hard time over that. But in reality, have you seen a lot of people use PEDs or steroids?
Yes, especially on social media. I've seen a few in person. It's very obvious when they're on it.
Yeah.
But I see them in the gym every day. Like especially at the gym that I work at right now. There are a few people who I can think of who do it. But they're in there every day too. So it's not like they're working hard, like you said before. It makes things easier to accelerate in. So like for them, they're bodybuilders. They want to put on as much muscle as they can. It's easier for them to put on muscle with it, but they're still in there working hard for 3 hours every day.
Yeah.
It's not like they're taking days off. It's
So why do you choose not to use them?
For me personally, at least right now, I'm way too young to use them. It wouldn't be safe for me to use them, and then it would, since I'm still technically going through puberty. My hormones would be all screwed up for the rest of my life. I don't want that. I don't use them because I'm a natural athlete, and I take pride in the fact that I'm as good as I am naturally. Yeah. I just don't want to be viewed in that category because there's a very negative connotation to it, even though maybe there shouldn't be, or maybe people should just look at it a different way. I think they need to do their research before they go in and just say, oh, he uses steroids, he's cheating. It's not illegal in most sports, but the people are still putting in the hard work. I don't do it because I'm in college. I'm in the NCAA. If I ever got caught at a meet and got drug tested, I'd be thrown off my team right away, and I don't want to do that. And then it's just a pride thing for me. I like doing what I do naturally. There's another level I have to push myself in order to do what I do. And I just have to, it makes me stay a little more consistent every day.
Now, do you look at someone that you've seen that's not a bodybuilder, someone in your sport?
Yeah, in my sport, yeah.
And even, right, let's say same grade, right? Would you look at them differently?
If I knew they were taking a performance-enhancing drug? No, I wouldn't look at them differently. I'd look at them... I know the people who I compete against, I keep in close contact with me because I want to see what they're doing, so that way I can change something if I need to change something. I know people who are national champions in the 100 and the 200.
try to increase performance. That's just an excuse, but that's a great perspective to have. But do your feelings change if somebody is using it and they end up beating you?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, it changes if they end up beating me, or if they're in my race and I end up beating them. It says, oh, I can. If I beat them, then it's like, oh, I just beat the person who uses steroids. I'm better than them, even though they're so and so. Cheating in a negative connotation. Yeah. If I get beaten by them, I'm not going to be happy because I'm putting in all this hard work. Even though they're putting in the same hard work, they're just getting a different result at the end of it.
Yeah. Would that make you want to use them though?
Would I want to use them?
I told him we'd be grilling them.
Yeah.
I told him we'd be grilling them if he came on.
I mean, I'm never going to say that I don't want to use it. It's like, every athlete wants to use them because it gets you to your maximum potential. If you asked me that question, if I could win a gold medal in the Olympics and die by the age of 50, I would take that.
Take the gold medal?
I'd take the gold medal.
Okay.
Because
I'm with you on that.
That's real. That's real.
Yeah, what good is it to live without being remembered?
Yeah.
Because you get remembered when you win a gold medal. You don't get remembered if you're taking 4th in the Olympics or taking 5th in the Olympics.
I appreciate the honesty on that one. No, seriously, because I think that's really important. I'm really glad that you actually have said these things.
Yeah.
Because people people want to act like they are saints and they are above.
No. Deep down, everyone wants to do
they're
this.
above the fray. Like, of course, you want to do it. Now, do you think it makes someone? Do you think it that would bring into question a person's character?
No, absolutely not.
Of the sport.
Of this, this is tough. Okay, no, because, I mean, maybe at the beginning, when people weren't using things. So like, let's say before like the golden era in baseball, where Mark McGwire was hitting 50 homers a season, Bonds was hitting 70 a season, stuff like that. Maybe before that, when everyone wasn't using it, then it would be going against your character a little bit because then you're really cheating. But when everyone's doing it around you, I think you're putting yourself at a disadvantage to not stay with the.
So you think as long as if everyone else is doing it,
if everyone else has the option to do it, then yes.
Everyone has the option to do it, then you believe you should do it.
I don't
someone
believe
should do it.
I think you have the choice. It's in your court.
Definitely.
The ball's in your court.
Greater incentive. Yeah.
Sure. Well, especially in baseball contexts, especially if everybody's using them.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And you see all these big contracts being handed out, because I think that's what people forget is when these things are happening in sports, in athletics, there's a lot of money involved.
Hundreds of
millions. It's not pride. It's money. That's the big hundreds of millions of dollars. That's the big factor here. Where if the difference in you taking PEDs is $50 to $100 million, I don't care what anyone says. I'm taking the damn PEDs. Like you are out of your mind to not do that. And what are you gonna get? Fined? Like
you get fined.
Fined $100,000, like or something.
Not even just suspended.
Like you get suspended. You still get that contract.
Crazy.
Oh my God! Like this is real life. Like this is people's families and livelihoods. And so I think that many feel the same. I mean, like you said, like many feel the same way. Many would do it. They just would not admit that. Does that make you a bad person? No, that doesn't make you a bad person. That actually really just makes you human.
Yeah.
At that point, where it's different if nobody was taking them,
right,
and they got caught. But if you took the majority, and the majority starts taking them, and they're excelling and they're improving in what they're doing, and it's actually keeping you behind. At some point, people really have to ask themselves, what do they want?
Yeah. I would like to see more regular older people start to research and take PEDs more often. Just to help their bodies and to help them recover and to help them live a normal life. People talk about PEDs and athletes and rarely does it get discussed with the general population.
Sure.
Who probably needs it more than these genetic freaks already.
No,
Who
exactly.
can get along with their lives perfectly fine without ever needing steroids.
And so, like, I want to relate this really quick to. I love that you said that, because people would think like that's crazy, right? Like for someone to take, like a normal person to take a PED or to take a bunch of supplements to try and improve their body. Because I actually really considered PEDs supplements in a way, just a little step above
Performance enhancing.
performance enhancing. Like a lot of supplements are performance enhancing.
They do the same thing. It's for recovery, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think actually Brandon and I have talked about this, like HGH as one of them. Well, HGH is produced by the body. So is creatine.
Right.
Why is one labeled a PED and the other not?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's conversation again for another day for that one. But people will look at that as weird and strange, taking PEDs or athletes doing this. But yet you have people out there smoking like 2 packs of cigarettes a day. You have people out there that they're not registered, but they are borderline alcoholics with how they abuse alcohol. Why, for me, like I hate, you know, I don't like to be one to point the finger, right, or to look through a glass house.
Right.
When people will negatively look upon someone or an athlete or someone just trying to be fit, someone to improve their body, taking certain things to improve their body, whether it's supplemental, when it is supplemental, when at the same time they're putting all these things into their body that will never help it. Like it will never in any way, shape, or form improve your body if you're taking drugs, if you're smoking, even if you're not eating right? It's just, you're never going to improve your body at all. And so I think it's just the perspective that's often missed with these type of things, to really contextualize what you're actually doing and what you're saying. Because even right, Brandon, in your case, as a baseball player, imagine if I was looking at you and I found out that you took PEDs, and I was like, oh, Brandon, you're a terrible person. You're a horrible athlete. You were never really that good. And I'm thinking this of you when I'm someone, I don't take care of my body at all. I drink all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, really, well, whose character? Because you're doing that for a check.
Yeah, right.
You're doing that for your family, and that's fine. We all have to do things for our family, but then I'm looking at you this way.
Right. Like, who are you to judge?
Yeah, exactly. I can't. It bothers me so much that people will judge others.
Yeah.
When they were never in those positions.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
At all. And
100% agree.
like I think the mindset is really important too, because even take all this aside, you strip it all down, what you're saying, what it comes back to, people still have to put in the work.
Yeah. Right.
Like your mindset will always trump your physical attributes at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, I mean, any final words you got, Matt? We gotta wrap it up here. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you. At least for me, hard work has gotten me to this point. Studying what I do, rewatching like sprints of mine that I've done, that's gotten me. Changing things and working smart, not working hard, is like the main focus for me. So my final words are, work smart, not work hard.
Wise words.
Thank you.
Wise words. Thank you, Matt. Brandon, any final shots?
No, it was great having you on, man. Really appreciate it.
It was great to be here.
Nice
Thank you guys for having me.
Have some insight from another generation. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Keep up the hard work too, and best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, good luck with everything, Matt.
Thank you.
Later, guys.
Oh yeah. Good work, man.
Thank you.
And then by the time we're doing our second set,
They're trying to Wolverine it.
Yeah.
Like just getting fierce as
yeah, and then all of a sudden their delts are, it's like someone stuck a hot poker in their deltoids the second time through.